Hello friends, this is Neha Tulsyan. Welcome to another video on Peekaboo Designs channel. Today I'm here with an old stamp set from Peekaboo Designs called Monstrous. I'm planning to create a night scene and use that one background to create 3 different cards. So I'm using all the stamps from the stamp set as I do not know which one I'm gonna use on all the 3 cards, and I'm stamping it from Memento Tuxedo black ink with the help of Misty on a Nina Solo White 110 pound cardstock. I also stamped a few extra balloons as I am sure I'm gonna use more than one balloons on each of my card. Here I'm coloring my images with Copic markers, and today I'm not gonna share the whole coloring video as it is pretty simple and similar coloring, but I'm gonna share 1 or 2 images for you to get an idea of how I wanna color all the images. Now for the background, the night scene, I'm using 3 different distress inks: Chipped Sapphire, Dusty Concord and Black Soot. I started with Chipped Sapphire, and with my mini blending tool I am blending in the color. Using very light hands as I do not want any harsh lines on my background. I'm bringing in the colors from all the edges and trying to work my way in towards the upper left hand corner of the background. When I'm finished blending, you will see on the upper left side of the background is the color of the background is light, as if there is a moon or a light source. So this creates that night scene where you really do not see the moon in the sky, but you can see that light all around, and you can feel that okay, there is a moon behind the clouds, and slowly that light fades into the darkness. So once I was done with Chipped Sapphire, I came in with the Dusty Concord and blended the color. And to make the whole scene more darker, I came in with Black Soot. I used Black Soot mostly on the edges of the background and used very light hands as I blended in. Now, what's the night scene without some stars? So I used Perfect Pearls pigment powder in pearl color to add some stars to my background. On my work surface here, I mixed the pigment powder with water, and with the help of a paintbrush, I tapped off a few drops of that solution over my background. If you want a little bigger drops, you can use a bigger paintbrush, but I really like these tiny drops, and makes me feel like millions of stars in a galaxy. And for that bigger drops, I just used my paintbrush and made some big dots for more controlled look. You can also use gesso or white acrylic paint instead of pigment powder here. I personally like pigment powder because of its pearly shine that it gives to my stars. So now I have created 3 backgrounds with the same technique, and all my images are colored and fuzzy cut. I'm using a few dies from Peekaboo Designs to die cut my background. The details of the product used will be added in the description box. To assemble my first card, I had this scene in my mind where a monster is hanging by the rocket with balloons in his other hand. I used foam tape to stick the rocket to my background, and for the monster, I just used my ATG tool to stick it directly to the background. For the balloons, I used multimedia matte from Rangers, and also a little bit of foam tape on 2 of the balloons to give it a little raised look. I used my black liner pen to draw some lines from balloons to Monster's one hand, and also from the rocket to Monster's other hand, to show as if he's hanging from the rocket. Now for the sentiment, I used to have a monstrous birthday from the same stamp set. Thinking of taking a shortcut for the sentiment here, instead of white hate embossing my sentiment, I used white pigment ink to stamp my sentiment. As the sentiment dried, I did not get that bright white look that I would have got from heat embossing the sentiment. So later I heat embossed my sentiment with the white embossing powder from Ranges. To finish up this background, I used Spectrum Noir clear glitter pen and added some glitter on all the balloons and little bit on the monster eyes and on also on the rocket. Also used glossy accents on all the balloons and on the eyes of the monster and let it aside to dry. Now for my second card, I wanted it to be a shaker card. So I'm sticking my background onto a A2 size note card, side folding note card using my ATG tool, and I'll use the scallop frame to create the well for my shaker. So here I have cut the transparency in size and sticked it to the back of my frame using the ATG tool. As the frame is too thin, I cut my foam tape 1/4 to fit the frame, and now I am sticking it all around without leaving any gap to form my well. To create the inside scene, I am sticking the monsters and the balloons with my ATG tool and some liquid glue. And I have also heat embossed the same sentiment, have a monstrous birthday. Now for the shaker materials, I am using few white seed beads that I had in my stash, and also I'm adding few sequins in gold, silver and copper color. And then I took off the back of the foam tape and stick the frame directly on top of my background. Sorry about my head here, I'm just trying to line things up. So this was my second card. Now for the third and the last card, I have laid down my whole scene here and I'm just sticking them directly using my ATG tool onto a side folding A2 size note card. Once done with the card, I'll stamp my sentiment in black using Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm using the same sentiment, have a monstrous birthday, and my card's all done. But later I felt that something is missing in this card, so I used my black liner pen to add some black dots onto the background of my card. So these were my 3 cards for today. Thank you for visiting. Have a nice day.